Welcome, guys. We have a very special episode today. What we're going to be talking through today is here with my good friend, Andrew Daubney. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Talking through his experience as a clinic owner and his journey as an exercise physiologist, moving into the disability space, becoming one of the largest and most trusted providers, I would say, in Sydney. And that journey to allow himself to have the freedom to be able to step back and to really work on the business and build the business and the pathways and opportunities that he's been able to offer to some of his team members as he's built this amazing business. So welcome, Andrew. Thank you for jumping on.
Absolute pleasure, Pete.
All right. Well, what I'd like to do just to get stuck into the meat of it straight away is, could you just tell us a little bit about what your business looks like right now, maybe the different disciplines, how many team members, how many sites?
Yeah, sure. So we are a team of 29 at the moment, and that's across 3 different sites. So we have got one main site, so our kind of head office, where we have a centralized admin. So we've got 4 members in our admin support team, practice manager, front desk, and marketing and accounts. And we then have an EP team that's about 15 people, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and dietetics.
Amazing, mate. So that's quite a team, 29. There's probably a few people watching this who are wondering what it's like to have 29 people to look after, essentially. How long has it taken you? So how many years have you been in business to get to this stage where you have a team of 29?
So we were founded back in 2009. So we've been operating for about 11 years now. The first, I would say, 5 or 6 years of that, it was very like one step forward, one step back.
Yeah.
So it was very like looking back retrospectively, it was kind of slow at the start.
Yes.
It felt quick. Like it felt like, oh, we need to hire. And then somebody comes on and then they leave. And it's like, oh no, like I feel like we were getting so much momentum and going so well. And then, you know, when you're sitting at that size, it's devastating when people leave because it's a significant portion of the business. So from sort of 2009 to about 2015, we kind of hovered between 2 and 5 team members. We just kind of fluctuated in there. And I think for us, that was a reflection of the type of clients that we were working with.
Yeah.
I'm an exercise physiologist, so a lot of the clients that got referred to us at that stage were referrals from GPs under Medicare and workers' comp and things like that. So they, you know, we feel like we did a really good job with them in helping them to reach their goals, but they didn't really stick around for a very long period of time. So in terms of like opportunities for growth within the team, we found it a bit slow in that respect. In about 2015, 2016, we started to transition from more of a musculoskeletal clinic, so working with chronic pain and chronic diseases, or into the disability sector. So for us in Sydney, this was when the NDIS was starting to be talked about and sort of starting to be rolled out. And for us, that was kind of a big opportunity. We saw it as a way to be able to help more people, which for us looked like the adult psychosocial disability sector. So working with people who have complex and chronic mental health conditions.
And that's been a theme that I've noticed in your business, and maybe from when I initially started working with you. That might have been back 2018 or 2019, maybe. It would have been a while ago now. The business has changed a lot since then. And like you said, the the ideal client has changed a lot since then. How did the team go through that transition? Were there some people that decided to leave because they wanted to work more in the musculoskeletal, or were there some people that really liked the change, moving more into disability?
One of the most influential things that happened in this shift was actually the hiring of one person, and that's Lauren. We brought Lauren on, who was a student with us at the time, and she came from a background in disability, had worked as a disability support worker, and really had a vision of the type of people that she wanted to work with, which was different to what the established clinic kind of looked like. So that led to us sort of opening up and being more aware that there are avenues for different people, different ideal client avatars for us to be able to work with in our local area. I think, and I see this with some of the people that I work with now, is there was definitely a period where we were trying to do all things for all people. So we were trying to be a disability provider, we're trying to do private work, and we're trying to do CrossFit people and get them back to CrossFitting. And so, there was a period where we had team members come on board and say, like, we work with everyone. And one of the key distinctions that we have shifted towards is being able to articulate more and more who is Rebound's ideal client.
Yeah.
And what's happened from that is to your point, is that, like we have both turned practitioners away. Like at the end of last year, we had some really amazing applicants for a couple of roles that we had going, but they weren't in line with the type of clients that Rebound is known to attract. And it would feel like for us, like a real challenge to, try and build a really, sports physio clinic where we're coming from is primarily more of a disability provider. So we kind of had to say no to some of those opportunities because it wasn't the direction that we were going.
And can I
and similarly,
I was just going to say, for a lot of clinic owners who are watching this, a key challenge they're facing right now is recruitment. So to turn away not only an applicant, but someone who was a really good applicant because they weren't in line with your company, I guess, direction that you're going, your mission and your vision. How did you maybe reconcile that to yourself? Because there's probably 5 or 6 clinic owners I've talked with this week that they've been advertising and haven't had an application in the last 3 months. So I'm interested, how do you work through that in your mind? It must be challenging.
It was a process, right? That wasn't a light bulb moment. That was a process, and there was consultation with some of the important people in the Rebound team who were in those interviews with these people. And I think for us, there is we have brought in people and tried to build caseloads for them that don't align with the type of client that we already attract. And so for us, we could lean into those experiences in the past and go, actually, you know what, like this is going to create more work for us, more stress for us than that person's opportunity. Because when we interviewed those people, they were like, I don't really want to work with disability. I don't really want to work in chronic pain. I am a sports physio and I want to work in this area. And our reflections from the last few years has been like, that's great, but that's not who we are. So yeah, it was hard to say no to those people because they were lovely people, but we did it because it wasn't the future direction that we were going. Like we have a fairly clear vision about where we're going and the type of people that we want to be working within our team. And so perhaps that was the filter that we used to make that decision is like if we brought somebody on who wasn't aligned with where the business is going in the future, if you position yourself 3 years in the future, how does that work? Does that work? And for us, it was a no. And so we turned down some really good applicants. But we were able to find some amazing people who did want to work. And so when they come on board, it's like, this is easy. Their caseloads fill, they're happy and confident in their work because it is the type of clients that they want to be working with.
And look, I'll be honest, that was a bit of a leading question into the fact that I know you're a very values-based organization, that you take the time to plan. You're always looking ahead at where you want to be, looking backwards at what got you there, essentially. And I really like that perspective that you had on going, there's no point bringing people on who aren't the right people, because where you want to be in 3 years is not aligned with bringing those people on now. And I think it's a really powerful organization and it's really powerful as a leader to be able to stick to your vision, your values, and the mission for the company, and not, I guess, get stuck in shiny ball syndrome, which, you know, put my hand up, we've all been there at times. The second and third order consequences of that being, well, now you've got a new type of client load to build. That's new referrers, that's new type of marketing and ads. There's a lot of work involved in doing that, and that takes your focus away from the mission that you're working on. So yeah, very interesting to hear your perspective on that, mate.
And to that point, like that's kind of the reason that we decided to go multidisciplinary in the first place, is because we had a very clear idea about the type of person that we wanted to work with, our ideal client avatar. And therefore the addition of additional professions that would support that ideal client avatar meant that when we did the marketing, when we did the refer and nurturing, when we were doing the community events, it was all aligned with like one person. And so we weren't trying to like speak to 10 or 20 different people. Like it was a very consistent message. And all that changed was that, okay, well, now we can provide occupational therapy services to a psychosocial disability participant and physiotherapy services to a psychosocial disability participant. The messaging and the branding has always been consistent.
And I think that's something that, you know, you mentioned it kind of offhand just before, that when you bring the right people on, when you bring people on who, let's say you bring an EP on who wants to work in the disability sector and, you know, help people within the NDIS, that you've already got a full caseload for them because you have the referrers there, because you're known in that space. Now, you started your business in 2009, you said, which is actually 14 years ago, not 11 years ago. Quick math.
Right, not good with maths.
But I remember I finished my physiotherapy degree in 2013, and that was the first year in South Australia that we had a graduate as an exercise physiologist. So I'm interested, and even still now, I think it's a challenge. South Australia, I can talk to GPs, they're still not fully understanding, you know, what does an exercise physiologist do and where do they fit into the care plan for someone. How did you go, if we look back to sort of 2016, 17, 18, when you started moving into the disability space, how did you actually start to get those referrals? Because I imagine they weren't just being thrown at you out of nowhere. You had to go and actually build those yourself.
We entered into this space as it was transitioning into the NDIS. So we were in quite early. We, prior to the rollout of the NDIS, there were a bunch of different organizations that would assist in the care support and care management of people with disabilities. And we had connections in there. And those connections actually came from people that were referred to us by their GP, who also had multiple sclerosis or cerebral palsy. And so like through their health networks, we were able to build partnerships and build relationships with people in the local area. And then as the NDIS came in and support coordinators became a profession that was fairly well established within the context of the NDIS, we had connections in there already. Now, like I've mentioned a couple of times, the type of people that we initially were very focused on attracting were people with mental health conditions. And as an EP, like, it's a fairly easy sell about the benefits of exercise for someone that has a mental health condition. That then sort of got layered into, you know, when people have more complex mental health conditions and they're coming to us through the NDIS with different goals around social economic participation and finding and keeping a job, and building relationships within the local area. Like, we now just use exercise as the conduit to helping those people achieve those goals. So in the context of NDIS, like, it's a fairly easy sell to support coordinators, to people that work in the NDIS space, about the role that an EP can play in there. And then, you know, we try and get people, support coordinators, referrers, into our clinic, so we can show them around and they can actually see, like, visually see what it is that we're doing, so that when they're talking with their participants or their other networks, like, they can describe what they've seen and what they can describe what exercise physiology is, because they've literally seen our team work with participants. And I think that ability is really key in getting people on board with why EP can be very helpful.
Definitely. And like, from an outside observer looking in, the thing that I think you've talked about there and really gone into depth is it's education. You've been amazing at educating people as to how EP can help people with mental health conditions, and then looking at the different ways in which EP can help. Because something you said was that it's a quite an easy sell, where I'd actually like to maybe challenge you a little bit on that, because I do work with some clinics where they've found that harder to do. And so it's coming back to really understanding the framework of the NDIS. I think many people are very feature focused. You know, we do this exercise, we increase this bit of strength, rather than looking at how, you know, how does EP or how does fitness and exercise fit into helping this person to achieve a functional goal. It's the difference between, this person can now do 10 step-ups versus this person can now step up onto a bus and take public transport or something like that. So I'm interested if you just spend a couple of minutes just talking about maybe some of the key things that when a clinic owner is talking to a support coordinator or someone involved in the care, like, what are the key things that you would be focusing on from an education perspective?
So it is about, I suppose part of the distinction there is, you know, reflecting back on the type of clients that you are trying to attract by building that relationship. So if it is, you know, I can speak quite clearly about psychosocial disability, because that's something that we've been working in for a long time. And yeah, like, there are benefits and improvements in the side effects of medications, which can be lethargy and weight gain and things like this. And we can prove that exercise has a positive association with those things. So I can speak directly to that. But more relevant to a support coordinator is the fact that it's oftentimes that those people are very socially isolated and they don't have a great support network around them. And so why you should come and, you know, refer your people to our business is because we have other people that we're already working with that have been through a similar experience. And so we can help them to build relationships with their peers and people that have a similar experience, so that they can, again, like, they can use exercise as the conduit to building relationships and peer networks, which will help them socially integrate and help them be live the life and achieve the goals that they want to achieve. Right. So it's less about like, this person did 12 sit to stands last month and today they're doing 15. It's more the social and emotional response that people can get from that. If we talk more on the intellectual disability side of things, we're building people's confidence, right? We're building people, we can get them into group classes and they can interact with other people that might have, again, shared goals. But we're putting them in a safe and controlled space that's led by a health professional, where they can learn to build their confidence, right? And for a support coordinator or someone in that space to hear those sort of words, as opposed to, we can get them stronger, we can get them fitter. That's not the premise on which the NDIS has been built.
Yeah. So
it's about understanding why somebody would get referred to you, like what goals are they looking to achieve through the referral to an EP or to a physio or to an OT, and how we can help them achieve those goals rather than achieve our goals, which is, getting stronger, getting faster, getting fitter.
Yeah, and look, I come from my original background was in the sports physio sense, and so we definitely get caught up very much, I would say, in the strong objective measures rather than looking at the overall picture. So it's really good to hear how you would explain that and just understand some of the words that we would use and just some of the different education methods that are there. So that's amazing. I also really like the fact that you get them into the clinic. I'd say a lot of people would find some challenge in that, but to look at, I guess, the value that brings to their clients and how you present that to them is amazing. Now, I do want to do a big turn here and maybe talk more about the clinic owner side of things for you. I'm interested, what is a day, not a day, but what does a week look like for you in your clinic now, sort of moving more into that CEO type role and no longer seeing clients?
So I'm very, very grateful that I have a pretty amazing team that actually allows me to work in Rebound 2 days a week and do clinic mastery 2 days a week and be able to help other business owners to achieve their goals. And then kind of Fridays is my project day. So I sort of get to sit there and work on things that are, important to me personally. So I basically do a Monday and a Thursday or in Rebound, and it's now very much around the people side of things. In fact, it's probably 90% of a people role and maybe 10% referral work, like doing the odd meeting here and there. So one of the things that I was sort of forced or challenged to do at the end of last year was, we had a lot of meetings, and we have slashed some of the meeting time because a lot of those meetings were around updates on this or, things for the future. And it's like, this could be a Slack message. Like, what are we doing here? So I went through a bit of a process of elimination and cut out a whole bunch of meetings that were not really essential. I now do 3 meetings a week, which is kind of a nice balance. I do our team's annual reviews, their progression sessions, which is sort of, hot topic right now because, we hire lots of new grads. So a lot of those annual reviews come up at the beginning of the year, which is awesome. And then it's more on the planning side of things. So, where we have our own 120-day plan. I've got my 120-day plan, and a lot of that is being very clear on where Rebound is going to be in December 2024, which is our current 3-year plan, and then bringing that down to, okay, well, what roles are we going to need in that sort of an organization that we don't have now? And what's the training? What's the support network? What is the position description? Like, what does that role actually look like? So that we can kind of move into that over the course of the next 18 months. So yeah, it's looking at the vision for the clinic and then going, okay, what does that clinic need?
Amazing. It's fantastic to see you. I mean, I remember some of the discussions we had late last year around cutting those meeting times down and restructuring your diary moving into 2024. And super proud of you for making some big changes there. I think it's really awesome to be able to segment those days and have clear thinking each day for each of those, but also decreasing the meeting time for your own team as well. Like, no one loves to get stuck in meetings. I'm always very impressed at how Clinico has no meetings at all. Maybe we'll get there one day.
That would be lovely.
So Joel, if you're watching this, please do share your secrets, mate. But I guess just to sort of move on to the end of this, in order to allow yourself to have that structure within your business and have that role. Now, I know you've helped people to move into more senior roles within your team and different levels of leadership and management. Could you speak to, I guess, some of the pathways you've been able to offer your team as you've grown your clinic?
So I mentioned before that one of the key hirings that we made back in 2016, I think, was Lauren. So she came on board as I think she was actually our first full-time employee. She was the switch from a contractor model into an employee model for us. And over the course of her first few years with us, there were like some key events, key actions that she just put her hand up for. And it was like, okay, wow, like this is pretty cool. When we did our first NDIS audit, for example, she basically did the whole thing. She wrote the system, she taught the team, she got us ready for that, like pretty much by herself. And that was like okay, wow, something pretty cool is going on here. She was very good at teaching people. So she helped to build our student program. And then as the EP team grew, she mentored the EP team. And then as we grew again and we brought in different disciplines, she basically mentors the mentors now. So she will mentor the different profession heads that we have. And that's sort of part of the key responsibilities of our head of team development. So her role now is about looking after the whole practitioner team, from recruitment, induction, training, through to annual reviews and career progression, pathway progressions for each member of our team. So for her to be able to look after that, like that's a huge weight off my shoulders. But she is just so good at doing that sort of work and engaging the team, that it's enabled me to be able to focus more on the things that I want to do. At the end of last year, she kind of tapped on the door and kind of said, you know, I've been doing this role, the current role, for a little while now, and so what's next for her? And then she had a conversation with you, and you told her that she should ask for like a ridiculous wage. So thank you. But she's now actually going to move towards the other side of the business, towards the operations side of the business. So she will actually be our first practitioner that has come off the tools.
Yeah.
So she's been an EP for 5 or 6 years, and right now she has transitioned off, so she doesn't see any clients anymore. She's sort of in a transition period where, come the start of the new financial year, she will keep the head of team development role, but she will also move into an operations role. which will see her completely off the tools, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool because it's in line with where she wants to go. Like this is an evolving conversation that we've had over quite a few months to work out, what opportunities and where her strengths are and how that would align with the growth of the business and how that would sort of differentiate itself from the role that I do within Rebound. But like it's pretty cool as an owner to see somebody like work up through that progression.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost unheard of. A lot of business owners, one of their goals is to work to be able to come off of the tools and be able to work more behind the scenes and really support the team. And I'd say that's one of the first big challenges as a clinic owner. I think my first big challenge was dropping one day of consulting, but it's a key goal that a lot of clinic owners come to us to work with is wanting to actually be able to step back and have a business that isn't reliant on them generating the income directly. But to take that next step and actually be able to build this company essentially where you've got these different layers of people who are supporting the team to do their best work in a way that it would be unrealistic for just yourself to be doing that essentially, especially with the size and scale and the impact that you want to have on your local community. I think that's, it's amazing to see. And also for Lauren, if you're watching this, to be able to have that opportunity to have that progression, it's almost unheard of in most healthcare clinics. So absolutely amazing, mate. And sort of moving into the end of this now, I'm interested, what was a shameless plug here, by the way, but when you joined Clinic Mastery, was there one key mindset shift or one key thing that you attribute to helping you to achieve the success that you have today?
Oh,
if you had to pick just one.
I'm going to give you two. I think being aligned with a mentor that like really got me, and that could kind of lead me through the path that I needed to go through. I think that was amazing, which was you. So for those that don't know, but I think part of it is knowing where my strengths are. And so spending more and more time in the areas that I can really provide a lot of value to the business in. And over time, stripping back some of the other things that, perhaps I'm not so good at, like Facebook ads and Google ads, which was actually my reason for coming to Clinic Mastery in the first place, was I wanted to learn how to do those things. Because we weren't doing them before, and I thought it was a great opportunity. But like being able to recognize that as the business owner, like, yes, at various stages, we need to be all things to all people. But after a while, it's like, actually, there is a better person that could be doing this than me. And that's happened a few times, whether it is Facebook and Google ads, or whether it is mentoring the team, that there are actually people with personality characteristics that are much more in line with doing a much better job of that than I could be. And so there was one of the key learnings for me was about like recognizing that, being okay with that, and at times like actively pulling myself back from not engaging in things that I don't need to be involved in. That's still a work in progress. But I think now having that perspective means that I'm able to focus on the value that I can bring. I've got an amazing support, amazing people in the organization that have different strengths to what I do, and we have a visibility of what they are. So they are, when new projects or new things come up, it's like, who's best to take this on based on a skills approach. And okay, well, if it's not me, it's not me.
I love that. And I think a lot of credit to you as well in being able to take those jumps when it feels uncomfortable. I think there's a lot of discomfort in stepping back from doing something and being able to delegate something. And for those that are still watching, thank you for making it this far. But it's the difference between just delegation and abdication. And that's something that I think that Andrew, you've done really well. Is abdication is just saying, here, go do this. This is yours now, and just sort of running away from it and taking no responsibility for it. Compared to delegation, which is allowing someone else to do it, but giving them the skills, the resources, and the support to be able to do it. Now, one of these is a very quick way to do it, which is the abdication, just get rid of it, but often doesn't work too well. And the actual delegation, it takes a lot more time, effort, and energy up front, but it pays dividends for months and years to come. And so maybe if that's the final takeaway from this is, something that Andrew's done extremely well to get himself to this point, is to actually understand the difference between delegation and abdication, and to be able to support his team through delegating things out, and to be able to step into discomfort and let go of things, which, as control freaks and business owners, we definitely find that hard to do. But that'd be my key takeaway from today's session. Andrew, thank you very much for joining. Is to really focus on making sure that we are delegating, not abdicating, and we're providing the support, the resources, and the time to help those people be successful in that. But any last words, Andrew?
Oh, thanks for the opportunity to come on board. I mean, for me, although that was a 30-minute interview, like this has been 9 years in the works. So I think also like we have a very clear vision of what the future looks like for us. And so Lauren coming off the tools and stepping into this role is relevant for right now, but it's also relevant for the future for us. So I think for me, and this is something that I work on with my members a bit, I'm sure you do as well, is what does the vision look like, and how do the actions that we're taking today help us move towards that vision for the future?
Absolutely, mate. So if you haven't already, have a sit down, have a think. Where do you want to be in 3-5 years' time? And then reverse engineering. What do you need to be doing today, this week, this month, in order to be where you want to be by the end of the year, by 2023, 2024, 2025, etc. But thank you so much for joining us today, Andrew. It's been amazing, an absolute wealth of knowledge, and fantastic to hear your story and your journey. Now, if you haven't already, guys, please like and subscribe. It helps us to reach more people, to reach more clinic owners, and to have a larger impact. We'll see you in the next video, my friends. Thank you, Andrew.